Alrighty, so the CONCACAF Nations League final is in the books, and for the second consecutive year, the US won the CONCACAF Nations League final. And I will say that this was definitely less dramatic than last year's final against Mexico, and especially less dramatic than what happened a couple of days ago when the US played against Mexico in the semifinal, where that game was a literal war zone for what we saw in the last 20 minutes of this game. But really, the old saying of a final is that if you can score that first goal, you can dictate plays, and most likely you have a higher chance to win the game. And that's exactly what the U.S. did. They scored that early goal and then score another one to build up a cushion. And for Canada, I feel like this game looks very similar to the problem that they had in the World Cup last year, where, this was a Canadian team that I thought in their first ever World Cup in 30 plus year in Qatar, they played very, very well against the likes of Croatia and Belgium and all those teams. The big issue for Canada is that they just cannot finish. Like the finishing was a problem during that World Cup, and the final third play was also poor. And also, not to mention, they made some defensive mistake on the other end too. And Lauren Beho in this game, it was kind of the same thing. They had their chances in this game, they had their moments, and they just couldn't able to solve Matt Turner and also solve this U.S. back line. Now, I will say this American back line was very good in this game, but again, there were some chances where I think Canada would definitely feel like they would have put that one away. And even if they cut that lead within half when they were down 2-0, it could have made it a little bit interesting to see how this game would have turned out. But in the first half, first of all, I want to mention the match was advertised to start at 5:30. It turns out the actual kickoff was 6:06 p.m. So you know how I said, well, I'll talk about this later on when I upload my review, how I was kind of scrambling to basically do the review because I thought it was going to be 30 minutes away from when I hit the record button of the review for the MLS match week number 19. Well, it turns out I didn't have to scramble anymore because by the time I finished with recording that review, I still have like about 25 minutes because this they decided to push back the kickoff to 6:06 p.m. I'm not sure if that has to do with the fact that the game between Mexico versus Panama kind of run a little late, and it shouldn't be because that game was supposed to start on time. I mean, CONCACAF. I feel like I know there's like a 2.5 hour window between the first game and the next game. I feel like they should have made it 3 hours because of how it's a little bit tight when they decided to use that. But nevertheless, yeah, the game didn't kick off until 36 minutes later, and somewhere Fox basically saying, "Ha, you know how people complain that we start game 25 minutes after the advertised kickoff. Well, guess what? At least we're not as egregious as what CONCACAF decided to do, which is they decided to set the kickoff is at 5:30, but then later we're just gonna push it all the way back to the point where it's like 36 minutes after the advertised kickoff is, and that we basically force our fans to watch numerous pregame kind of show. And also, if you were watching this on Paramount Plus, you had to endure just numerous commercial, which gotta frustrate you because you want this game to start. You don't want to watch these stupid commercial. But nevertheless, I also thought there was a lot of empty seats. Again, I'm not surprised that that is the case. They decided to open the full stadium for this final, and again, I just had a feeling that I mean, I get it. I get why they want to open the whole stadium, but I feel like it would have been best if they could have just opened like the lower bowl and not open the upper bowl because there were a lot of empty seats in that stadium, especially in the lower bowl. And for a Nations League final like that, I mean, that's not really a good look to have so many empty seats. And I can understand why exactly CONCACAF originally decided to go full bowl in this one because they thought Mexico was going to be in the final. Like I guarantee you, if Mexico was in the final of this, that stadium is going to be sold out, and it was sold out when the U.S. take on Mexico in the semifinal. But at the same time, again, Concacaf was really banking Mexico can win that one, so that way, that we all know that in terms of the Concacaf region, Mexico is going to draw the biggest fans, and unfortunately, because they're not in the final. I mean, they were in the earlier game, but that didn't really draw a lot of fans because it was a meaningless third place game. Which again, that just asks me a question: why in the world are we still thinking that third place game in a Nations League game, a complete meaningless friendly, is a good idea? the in this competition. But yeah, nevertheless, it was not a big surprise that I would say maybe like 30 or 40,000 attend this game, and again, it just feel really weird seeing the stands kind of half empty for a Nations League final like that. I mean, compared to this and the UEFA Nations League final that happened earlier, it was night and day in terms of seeing the atmosphere and also the how the stands were completely packed for that Nations League final in UEFA between Italy and or not Italy but Spain and Croatia and compared to this where it was kind of like half empty. No, that being said, Reina did hit one right to Bojan before Zimmerman would put it just wide from long range, and yeah, just a reminder, Walker Zimmerman. I know he's known to score goals from his head. He can sometimes strike those long range effort too, especially during his day with Nashville. But I thought it was a positive start for the U.S. as they look to try to get the early lead, though Laren did hit one right to Turner, as I thought Canada looked dangerous on the transition. And this was not a big surprise. I knew the game plan coming into this game for Canada is that they're going to go on the transition. That's kind of how they operate, and that's something that the U.S. got to be careful because when the Canadians go on the transition, they have some dangerous threat, and especially with Alfonso Davies and what in that area. I mean, I thought Davies had a good game in that one, and any time when he, of course, operating that wing, yeah, I definitely appreciate it because as I'm still a big Alfonso Davies guy, especially back during his time with Vancouver, but I was also kind of a little bit nervous every time when he was getting closer and closer to that 18-yard box. Though that being said, in the 12th minute, the U.S. take the lead. It's Chris Richard scoring from Reyna to make it 1-0 in favor of US. It was a great set piece delivery there from Gio Reyna, but yeah, it was poor defending from the Canadians, and also one that I think Bojan should say. I mean, Richard, he did get a free header there, which yeah, that shouldn't have happened. I think Alistair Johnston lost his man there, but at the same time, it wasn't really hit to a spot where I thought Bojan had no chance. I think it was kind of hit right toward him, and that's one that I think Bojan would love to have back. But yeah, a big goal for the U.S. taking an early 1-0 lead. And after the fast start, it seemed like the tempo kind of slowed down a little bit. I mean, it was a very fast-paced game throughout this one. There was kind of a battle in the midfield, kind of commenced. Bolligan then heads it wide from close range, but then 7 minutes later, he would be on target and score his first U.S men's national team go ever since that one-time switch that he has with the U.S. as he scored here from Gio Reyna to make it 2-0 in favor of U.S. So Gio Reyna, great game in this one. He was very, very effective in that number 10 position, and wonder if that's going to be the position that he's going to be in for future U.S. men's national team game. But at the same time, this goal probably couldn't happen if it wasn't for a bad turnover from Canada. So yeah, we talk about the Canadians being very good on the transition. The U.S. can do the same thing too, and that if you're Canada, you cannot turn the ball over in your own half like that and expect the U.S. to not capitalize on it. So yeah, that made it 2-0, and up to this point, you just kind of had a sense that yeah, this looks like it's not going to happen for Canada. I mean, down 1-0 is one thing, but now down 2-0, facing a bit of a mountain. Yeah, this is not going to be easy for Canada. Though Estacio did look for an instant response, but right to Turner before Turner had to palm away a shot from Davies. Again, Matt Turner had to come up with a couple decent save in this one, but I thought it was a great response from the Canadians. The U.S. I thought they got to be careful because they don't want the Canadians to get back into this game. They don't want them to get one back and have that belief heading into the locker room that they're still in this game. Though Bojan did deny Ware from long range before there was a scramble in the Canadian box as they were just trying to clear the way, which they just about do so. But we do head to halftime with the U.S. leading 2-0 against Canada. And in the second half, notice I changed the color of the pens because my black pens actually ran out of ink. But I thought Canada was more lively in the beginning part of the second half. They had more of the possession, though I think that most likely due to the fact that the U.S., knowing they're leading 2-0, they're gonna take their moment. They don't really need to really open themselves up. They like to sit back and trying to give Canada a little taste of their own medicine on the counter. Though Davies did blast it wide from close before the post, denying Richard of the third goal goal and also his second goal of the game. Where then had a shot that was blocked off the line by Candy as the U.S. was pressing for that third goal. David then blasted high from long range, and I thought this game was wide open. Again, it was very end to end. Both of these teams was pushing for that next crucial goal. Laren would blast it high from close range. We didn't get a bit of a pushing and shoving for both of these teams. Again, it wasn't really a feisty kind of game. And this is kind of expected because I know some people would say, well, in the future, this game could get a little bit feisty because it's US versus Canada. But I mean, I think it eventually will get there, but it's nothing going to be like what we saw between US versus Mexico. I mean, that game was just like that game was a war zone like I said earlier where it was all the gloves are pretty much off and they expect everything thing that makes CONCACAF kind of what it is, just kind of happened in that one. So Pulisic would then puts it wide as he was trying to put one in the 72nd minute, and really as the time winds down, you can see there was some desperation started showing on this Canadian side. They were pushing more men forward, trying to crack this organized American back line. And I thought, for the U.S., they at times they kind of started to show some fatigue and with those careless turnover and kind of getting pinned deep in their own end. So again, they were being very organized, and Canada was just unable to find that crucial final ball to really set up a good chance. Davis would then puts it high from long range, and yeah, in the end, the U.S. for the second consecutive year, they were able to win the CONCACAF Nations League with 2-0 victory over Canada. The shots in this one almost pretty even. 15 shots compared to 12 that the U.S. had, 7 shots on goal compared to 4 that the U.S. had, 6 shots off target 3 that Canada has, 5 shots that was blocked with the 2 that the U.S. has, and possession-wise, 64% possession compared to 36% possession that Canada has. It is, and I know people will say that the chaos and the peak CONCACAF level of the U.S. versus Mexico game was much more entertaining than this one. I mean, for me, I mean, you could say that, but I think for me, just in just kind of a game where I just want to see both team to show their best on the attacking end. Don't see those kind of silly kind of shenanigans kind of play or just players kind of lash out for no reason and kind of have a relatively clean game. I mean, I sometimes want to see that, and I kind of got it in this game between the U.S. and Canada. But again, I really think the difference in this game was that the U.S. was just more clinical. And again, for Canada, finding yourself down 2-0, that's always gonna be tough to try and to overcome, especially against this American team that don't give up goals and don't give up leads very often. So yeah, I mean, if they weren't 2-0 down, if this game was staying at 0-0, I think Canada would have had the shots. But those 2 goals that they gave up in the first half, and really 2 goals that were very preventable too. Like the first one, just poor set piece defending, and maybe Bojan should have saved, and then the second one just bad turnover. But nevertheless, this was a great performance by the U.S. There's definitely a lot of positive now heading into the Gold Cup. Now, obviously, heading into the Gold Cup, I think the roster could be a little bit different. I mean, this is where when we're gonna see maybe like the B and C team is gonna start to come into the Gold Cup, and I believe BJ Callahan is still gonna be coaching in the Gold Cup. Greg Berhalter actually is not gonna be back with this team until after the Gold Cup is going to be over. So yeah, again, I will say that BJ Callahan he's done a really good job in terms of being the interim basis in terms of setting the team up and in terms of some of the tactics he has. I mean, I feel like this team has played a much better style than what we see under Greg Berhalter. But again, we'll see whether that, of course, can change once Greg Berhalter is like that's the fear with U.S. fans and saying this team is playing some amazing soccer. Yeah, until Greg Berhalter show up, then all the doomers are gonna come back and say, "Oh, this is look at that, look what he is once again destroy the confidence of this team." But we'll see. As again, it's great to see the U.S. of course winning another trophy. I mean, I know the Nations League. This is not like what we see in Europe. It means a lot to the fans, but it's still a trophy to win and give some confidence for this team heading into the Gold Cup and also give some confidence heading into the next Nations League campaign, and that's going to be even more important because the next Nation League campaign it actually acts as the qualifier for the Copa America that the U.S. Still needs trying to qualify in 2024. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below what do you think of this CONCACAF Nations League final. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.